battenti, suona chitarra mia, suona chitarra mia, suona battenti, suona chitarra mia, suona battenti. Li colpi giusti lo suonatore ti dà, li colpi giusti suona chitarra mia, li colpi giusti suona chitarra mia. Ruspiti dallo sonno, non più dormire, ruspiti dallo sonno, non più dormire, che non ci dormi qua, che non ci dormi quando, che non ci dormi quando c'avi mamari, e non ci dormi quando c'avi mamari. C'avi mamari da un letto di viole, c'avi mamari e li cuscini so, cuscini di seta, e li lenzuoli sono arrecamati, e li lenzuoli sono arrecamati. Arrecamati e li lenzuoli sono arrecamati, sono belli gli occhi tuoi, e gli occhi tuoi belli sugli fronni d'arbrelli, e gli occhi tuoi vivaci sugli fronni di Vamanti. Rapilu bella, rapilu bella, rapilu bella, che io davi da parlare, dava dicere due parole, tiene la mente, non ti scorda, dava dicere due parole, tiene la mente, non li scorda. Io battenti, suona chitarra mia, suona chitarra mia, suona battenti, suona chitarra mia, suona battenti, suona battenti, suona chitarra mia, suona battenti, suona battenti. Sono battenti, sono battenti.
Thank you very much. Welcome to the broadcast. It's Sunday, I think it's the 30th, is it? The 30th of the month of January, first month of 2003. You didn't know that, did you? So today's the 30th. Yeah, and we're broadcasting yet again. Let's do that. Picture in picture. There it is. All right. Oh, I forgot to put on a proper shirt. Sorry. Well, how are you? I don't know if I got the title up. I was going to put... Hi, Bubble Elvis. There's only two of us here. That's all right. That's okay. I said it's okay. Let's go over here. Let's get off that screen. Right. So I've got a bunch of equipment laying around here, but I'm not using it. I'm using one thing, this arm. It's supposed to mount a Shure microphone on it. I got this old mixer that a friend gave me. And with this, I could hook up Shure mics. I can use the proper connectors. This is an ancient old thing, and somebody just gave it to me. Yeah. And so I was going to hook up a Shure microphone. I think it's better, but it's a pain in the ass. So I just went back to the Yeti. And I at least have this arm. I'm going to try this. I hate having the Yeti sitting on the table in front of me. I always knock it over. I broke one or two of these things doing that. Yeah, I want it to come down from the ceiling. Really, they should just sell the old-fashioned, like announcer mics where the guy pulls it down and he holds his big giant microphone like in a boxing announcer would do. Yeah. Anyway, what is the title of this? I think I got the title up. Yeah. White Supremacy Killed Tyre Nichols. Yes, I want to make that argument that white supremacy did, in fact, kill Tyre Nichols. And I should put this in a post. I was putting it in a post, and then I got a rare wild hair and thought I could talk to you guys. Yeah, but I will put it in a proper post. Expound more on these invaluable thoughts of mine. But I think I have a partial post up here. Also, if you haven't read my blog, we're starting probably ill-advisedly, I'm starting a fiction thread on the blog. It's an old idea. I got the idea, it might be 10 years old now. And I don't really have anything but 3 pretty good first chapters. And then it's all murky idea. I don't know how to end it. I've got an idea. And I realize that, for people like me who think they're going to maybe take up the pen and write a little fiction, the ideas are kind of easy. The concepts are really easy. You could churn those out. And doing it is a whole different story. And probably everything, really, is the execution. So white supremacy killed Tyre Nichols. Yes, that's the argument I'm going to make. Does it sound good? Yeah, I mean, I got to get it better. I really want it to be better. If we're going to do this, we are going to do this regularly. I don't know if, and maybe I shouldn't. Give me some honest advice. If it's you out there only, Bubble Elvis, you're going to have to do it. Give me some honest advice. Should I just not even freaking think about it? It's like a funny song by Father John Misty. There's a great line in there. It's all about him trying to write a book. And the funny line is, I'm writing a novel because it's never been done before. And that's what I feel like when I come back repeatedly, like a dog returning to its breakfast. Come back to the idea of doing this, and I think, because I'm such a downer guy, I'm such a guy who will always shoot down his own ideas. And I just think, it's so saturated. There's no place for me. Nobody wants to hear it. If you speak frankly, you get fucking banished or worse. So, but it's still, I can't help myself. But if you don't read the blog, you should read the blog. White supremacy. White supremacy did, in fact, kill Tyre Nichols. And I want to talk about the Tyre Nichols case. And I'm struck by how, being a quote-unquote racist, it sort of lifts the blinders, being a quote-unquote racist. And you just let yourself see what you see in the case of that. Certainly it was a case of police brutality. But what did I really see when I saw those guys, those big, thick-set, tough guy cops, lifting up this smaller guy that they already fucked up bad and pummeling him, giving him a beat down? What I saw was 5 black guys beating the shit out of another black guy, which is the most common thing in the world. And the nature of the black beatdown, it more resembled 5 guys, 5 thugs beating up some other poor schmuck. It more resembled that than it did, similar case of police brutality where the cops are white or the cops are not straight up thugs. By the way, these guys, or at least one of these guys, you've probably read this already, was in some elite unit. I spent a couple of months in Memphis way back in the 80s. It's fucked up. It's a nasty place in a large black population where bad things happen. these guys, one of these guys at least, was on this sort of elite team that probably what their gang unit um, that's said to be responsible for taking 500 gangsters off the street. Um, so they're all looking into that now. But uh, I think what we saw with that beatdown they administered was probably pretty standard operating procedure down there in Memphis. People, boomers will remember, this is like 10, 15 years ago, New Orleans, basically almost an all black. Was it New Orleans? Before the floods, before the Katrina situation, um, had the most corrupt, maybe ever, police force in the United States. It's really hard to do this when no one's watching, but I'm going to try. Um, and it was a bunch of thugged up black guys. So when he said, why am I saying that white supremacy killed? What the hell's his name? Tyre Nichols. Why do I say that? When I saw Van Jones, Cori Bush, there's a bunch of them out there that are just anticipating, are just trying to go on offense against, this chorus, which I actually get tired of fucking hearing, Fox News, black cops beating up, they just think that, owned, and things don't really work that way anymore. You don't really win arguments and win things. But you see Van Jones, Cori Bush, and others said, okay, they were black cops, but it's still white supremacy. And they're absolutely right. They're not wrong. Just as critical race theory is absolutely right. If you read it for yourself and you take away all the phony context they provide around it, and what are they telling me with critical race theory? What are they really telling me? They're telling me something that sounds very quote-unquote racist, but also I suspect is at least largely true, is that a society built by white people, a product of eons of white evolution and culture, can't possibly be the best ideal culture for people from outside of that tradition. That's all it says. That's all it's really saying. The phony context they put around it in is it's the sort of the universal blind spot of liberalism, is that they of course take out the reality that the white culture is an honest product, obviously, of one people, just as black culture, wherever you find it, not American blacks, but in Africa, is a product of their eons of evolution. They leave that out, and the big fallacy, which liberalism and now progressive, everything that's grown out of it, the big fallacy that makes it that enables people to keep believing this nonsense. And I have come to believe that straight up liberalism is just straight up nonsense at this point. You have to think like Rousseau posited. Even Rousseau knew better than to think that this world actually existed of the noble savage. But you have to believe that there's this ideal default that we would default to it, this ideal world, if only removed the prejudice. And of course, prejudice can only be white Western prejudice. Obviously, that's nonsense. So, what I'm saying is critical race theory is not exactly wrong. It's just misunderstood, even by the people who write it. Not the smarter ones, but I think like most of the black people who write it believe this nonsense because people believe what they want to believe, especially black folks. So critical race theory, to me, has some basis. Likewise, this idea of white supremacy. Think about how they've redefined it. They're not fucking KKK robes now. White supremacy is punctuality. White supremacy is everything critical race theory says we are, right? So it includes Just like I just said about critical race theory, how it actually does somewhat accurately describe in a racist way reality. Likewise, white supremacy, it's just an awful word, supremacy, that they put on something that is normal and natural, that white America should reflect white values and be a product of white people. And frankly, be geared toward them. So white supremacy isn't a bad thing. White supremacy is just the word, again, like critical race theory. It's just a word they've applied to reality, benign reality, really. So why did white supremacy kill? But how did it kill him? It's not evil. Well, it killed him because, like I said with CRT, how CRT is really about black people don't want or can't meet white norms of behavior and civilization. Likewise, this guy didn't want to observe basic rules. I mean, traffic rules are very much a white racist thing, and they'll tell you, the people who use this word unironically, this phrase unironically, white supremacy, will tell you this. Traffic laws are racist. That's why we're repealing them. That's why we have crashes. One thing I forgot to cover about last year. I mean, we've been talking a lot about crime, but along with the crime, we've had just a drastic increase in traffic accidents and fatalities because cops are not pulling people over anymore. Anyway, that's my theory on how white supremacy actually did kill Tyre. Or did it? Yeah, nobody's got anything to say. I bubble Elvis, Booberliths, Boobelvis. All right. Alexander Ocasio-Cortez says the effort to separate the officers who murdered, Tyre Nichols from the system of policing that produced them is palpable. Police killings in the U.S. reached a record high in 2022 that has only been rewarded with more funding at the expense of schools, hospitals, housing, and more. Well, yeah, I mean, I can speak only for Portland AOC, but we actually took away a bunch of their money, and of course, murders were hitting. In the 2 years since, we broke our annual homicide records, and it's fucking chaos out there in parts of in the colored neighborhoods, in the colored neighborhoods. So yeah, where did I get this? This is Cori Bush. Charging the officers who brutalized Tyre is not enough, Cori Bush continued. Our country will continue to sanction the taking of black lives with impunity until it embraces an affirmative vision of public safety and dismantles its racist policing system rooted in enslavement and government control. And let's be clear, merely diversifying police forces will never address the violent racist architecture that underpins our entire criminal legal system. The mere presence of black officers did not stop policing from being a tool of white supremacy. Now that's interesting, right? And so they're going double down with this, what would have been just 10 years ago, would have been laughed at. This idea that, we can't even have cops and we can't even have black cops. Of course, Cori Bush is right. Just diversifying police forces is going to make it worse. I think Steve Saylor wrote about this at length. There was a Ramparts scandal in the LAPD. They have a Ramparts division. It's kind of a tough division in LA, and they had a huge scandal with one cop leading a sort of gang of rogue cops. They made the movie Training Day based on this guy. Well, the guy was a diversity hire, and there are all these black and brown guys who wouldn't have got in before, but they got in because the LAPD had to diversify because it's racist because of Rodney fucking King, that idiot Rodney King, rest in peace. And of course, the Rampart scandal, because people don't fucking go past the headlines or first paragraph of anything. The Rampart scandal is just slid right into LAPD lore, which is that, of course, the LAPD is horribly racist. And a lot of people, they might know about the Rampart scandal, but they don't know it's really a diversity hire scandal. I mentioned New Orleans earlier too. They were legendarily corrupt. They had cops out of control. So Cory Bush is right. I mean, you diversify, it's going to get worse. And the problem wasn't, in AOC, the system of policing. I want to ask her, okay, what about the system? Because what I saw was the cops breaking the rules. So there are rules for cops, and they break them. And okay, we could be really fucking hard on the cops. We should be, for breaking the rules. But what is about the system exactly, Alexandria? And the only thing you do, because you just watch that video, and these guys, that guy was high. He had to be fucking high. He can't be that fucking stupid. But when you got these cops, these big angry cops are all around you. They're screaming, "Get on the ground, motherfucker! Get on the fucking ground! Get on your belly!" They told him, "Get on." You know what they want. You've been frisked. Even I've been frisked. They want you on your belly, right? And he's up there, he's leaning, and you think he's going to have this conversation. These fucking people. I want to hit you, you stupid fucker. I want to hit you with a billy club when I should be so fucking stupid, and I'm not, because the cops are right. It's just fuck, man. What the fuck? Do it. They've got you at this point. Anything further is just inviting what you drew on you. Anyway. So he does it. Everything about it was okay, even after even the first stop, you see, he gets tased a little. One of the cops kicks him or something, and that's probably something he could get in trouble for. But nothing's happened yet. The guy's not injured. Nothing has happened. And he goes off running. Of course. And then it goes wrong, because then it's just 5 thugs who find him and administer a good old-fashioned hood beatdown. What I saw was 5 black guys beating another black guy, which is the most common fucking sort of thing in America, really. So what is the problem? The only problem Alexandria could have, and this is further elucidated by the police abolitionists, is that we got to stop pulling over people for, say, they pulled him over for reckless driving, and let's assume the cops didn't make that up. I think they did pull him over for reckless driving. He was high, and that's one reason why he wanted to get away. But yeah, they mean that what exactly, AOC, is the system doing wrong? We know those cops did something wrong because they broke the rules, but what exactly is wrong with the system? And the only way that you can fix, quote unquote, the system here is to stop pulling over guys for driving recklessly on the street, and all kinds of other stuff. Stop frisking thugs on all of the things that we're doing here. And none of them are fucking working. Like, the traffic accidents are through the roof. Homicides are through the roof. Downtown is an ugly mess. And you see every day video upon video of our homeless contagion. Bubble Elvis, I use these words, because they're going to be out there. I mean, I don't fucking care. Just like I say I'm a racist. Okay, I don't use these words. You think they're going to go away? They're not going to go away. They're going to use them. You've got to demystify them. That's the only thing. I mean, and you've got to get more people to stand the fuck up and say, okay, I'm a racist. Fuck off. White supremacy. Okay, white supremacy. Fuck it. Their words have no real power. They have the power you give them. And that's what we're in the business of. We're in the business of disarmament, of rhetorical disarmament of the bastards. Like I said, CRT, and while there's nothing, CRT is CRT. It's not really positive, negative. White supremacy and racism are both sort of misnomers. They're both fake concepts. Yeah, that's what I do. It's like that old interview. I mentioned this in my last post. That old interview with John Wayne, where you see the clip and you think, oh my God. John Wayne says, oh, I'm for white supremacy until black people can get their shit together. Something like that. But in the interview, white supremacy really took off as a phrase in the 60s during the civil rights movement. And then kind of went away, and it's spiking now, of course, because now it's just white supremacy, white supremacy, white supremacy. But it was it was common enough back then that the interviewer, is trying to challenge John Wayne or draw him into this. And he says, "What about white supremacy?" And Wayne just uses the phrase. When he says white supremacy, he means, like I mean, normal white America, the norms. Keep in mind the CRT and all critical theory, not just race theory, all critical theory, post-structuralism. It's just take whatever society has that is normative and cast it as perverse, right? I mean, if it's normative, monogamy is normative, let's cast it as perverse. If prohibition on homosexuality is normative, let's cast it as perverse. Again, what they're always doing is they're relying they're relying on the implied existence of this ideal world which we've strayed from, and it's the Garden of Eden. There's a phrase for this that's escaping me, a psychological phrase for this idea, that there in fact exists this ideal world, and if we think about this personally, right? In your personal life, you think this one, we could just shed the baggage, right? I think communally we think that, and maybe that's what happens in late decadent phases of industrial societies, that you feel the weight of this accumulating, and you want to throw off the baggage, and you can't, because baggage is you. Yeah, I mean, you really don't have an opinion on. I mean, anyway, this guy, yes, is a congressman. It doesn't matter what color those police officers are. The murder of Tyre Nichols is anti-black and the result of white supremacy. I don't think it's the result of white supremacy, and I think they might actually have a point when they say, if that was a white guy, they wouldn't have beaten that bad. There's a point there, but it's not because they're white supremacist black cops. What I saw, again, was a beatdown. Forget the uniforms. The uniforms were just there. This was just 5 tough guys beating the shit out of a guy because they're mad. And I forgot my train of thought. Oh, yeah, it's anti. So why did they go ahead and wail on this guy? I think they did because he's black, because there's this sort of attitude. One thing is, they know guys like this and hate them. They're harassing guys like this, even though this guy, Tyre, doesn't look like he was a thug, obviously. But they have this idea of all these, what they would say, these bitch-ass niggas who give them problems. And some random white dude, or an Asian dude or anything, they might not be as violent because they view him as this stupid outsider that has wandered into their realm. And also, maybe they do think, well, if it's a white guy, he might have some friends somewhere, a lawyer, somebody might raise this issue. But I think they've been getting away with beating up black thugs in Memphis because, for one thing, they were actually probably pretty effective at taking those criminals off the streets. It reminds me of, so, what the black citizens of Memphis could really use is genuine white supremacy. I mean, white norms. Black supremacy. Yeah, I'm being ironic when I say white supremacy killed Tyre. Maybe I should just say black supremacy killed Tyre. Black norms of behavior killed Tyre. And they took over, and they were not restrained by the uniform. Was supposed to hold that in check. That fucking fury was not supposed to make it past that badge. The badge was supposed to protect. The badge is supposed to protect you, right? Because it holds that guy accountable. But, what black people need is white justice for their sake. It's better for them. Black justice is harsh and cruel. and chaotic. It reminds me of a story I read in, there's a great sort of light history book, L.A. Noir, about the history of L.A. And it talks about how they used to handle policing back in like the 40s and 50s, well before the civil rights movement began. The way they used to treat the black neighbors in LA is they would contract policing out to black officers who were notoriously brutal. And there were protests started because the black cops, oh God, sorry. That must have sounded awful. So the black people started protesting, getting such shitty treatment from the black cops. And I thought it was hilarious because one thing they demanded in their petition of redress when they marched on City Hall, one thing they demanded was, quote, white justice, unquote. And what they meant, of course, was a white standard of justice. But when we try to give them a white standard of justice, of course, we get Rodney King, we get Tyre Nichols, we get all this shit. So there's no fix. Hey, John. Yeah, I'll need Bubble Elvis, Utopia. Even if no whites were involved, it's still white supremacy. I already said that. I actually agree with that, Eki. All right. Okay, how does this sound? How does this? I really wanted to see how this. I think I can work like this, but I'm going to put a proper Shure mic on here. I'm going to get a good camera. I've actually got a good one. I just need to figure out how to hook it. And then maybe I'll do something with the light. All right. John is right. It's election season coming. I mean, I almost thought it was staged. I mean, it feels staged. Everything feels staged because they're always ready to receive it. I generally discount the idea that they stage these things outright. And when you can just wait for one to happen, one will come up, as you see. In fact, I think it actually works against them because I think they genuinely, deliberately, consciously whip up these frenzies around race when elections come, obviously. But I think it actually works against them because, like in a place like Portland, so the cops have pulled so far back, they're not harassing people anymore. They're not going to get their little incidents. You know, they just need one incident. They just need one cop, white cop, hitting somebody over the head with a club. Just one. It gets harder to get those if the cops aren't engaging. You know. But with the Memphis guys, I just think what we saw was really a glimpse into the black world. It's funny. You know, all these white people. Well, it's the same thing when some white cops are beating up some black thug. You know, all these lily-livered white people sitting in the comfort of their homes, you know, are so appalled. They don't realize they're white supremacists. What they're appalled at is they're seeing this, you know, this breakdown in order, these transgressions of an order that we think is of white order. We don't realize that's what we're looking at. We don't realize that what we're looking at is the alternative to white supremacy, is when that's just everywhere. And that's coming. Yeah. That's coming. Eli's coming. I don't know why I say that. All right. This is the blog. This is my blog. There are many, many like it. But no one reads this one. All right. So we're starting the fiction thread. Here it is. Chapter 1. It's very short and easy to read. I guess it's just an idea I'm trying to flesh out. And I'm kind of doing it in public, hardly in public, but kind of doing it in the open. See if that will prompt me to finish. But I like the idea at least. I don't know if it's going to be good because there's no end. There's no finish. I don't have it mapped out all the way. But I'm just going for it. And of course, it's all about race and shit. DennisDale.com is where you go not only for excellent fiction, but essays like this one here about Sheila Jackson Lee. Did I already read this? Can I just read this? Sheila Jackson Lee's Law. Yeah. Sheila's Supremacy Soon. Sheila. Oh, Sheila. Sheila Jackson Lee's law outlined uppity whiteness may have no chance short term, but is inevitable longer term should present trends against which nothing formidable stands continue. And national elections may not be pointless just yet. Yeah. Because I hate DeSantis. I mean, it's mostly aesthetic at this point. But, you know, if DeSantis wins the presidency, these laws will get vetoed at least. We don't know about Trump. Maybe Trump. Actually, I prefer Trump over DeSantis. I mean, throw them both in a bag in the ocean as far as I care. But I shouldn't say that about DeSantis. He's done good things, but I don't trust that fat little bastard. Just throw him in the fucking ocean. Trump at this point might fucking agree to their bullshit laws. I mean, I don't even know what the fuck he's about. He threw some giant party for gay sex at Mar-a-Lago. Mar-a-Lago sounds pretty fucking degenerate too. So he had a big party for the gay log Republicans, the log cabin Republicans. You know, and it's all about how he's pro-anal. It's just depressing. And nobody's left. I'm even souring on Tucker Carlson at this point because Tucker's going to get rolled right into the China war hysterics watch. I mean, the other night I watched him and he's talking about China, right? And he's just like a kid. He looks like a kid. He gets the kid face that, oh, shucks, I'm going to believe anything. Guys, look. I see that on a person. I'm like, oh, man, get this person away from me. He says, China's going to end up running the world, and it's not going to be a good thing when that happens. So he's actually, God bless him, but how fucking idiotic is this? For one thing, we're going to talk. We're running the world right now, and we're fucking destroying it, right? We've been running this world for this entire century. You know, with 2003, when we invaded Iraq, it was official. We got to do whatever the fuck we want, including that monstrosity. We've been running the world this whole time, Tucker. People fucking hate us. It's been war and misery and neoliberal fucking exploitation. And there's no real reason to think that the Chinese are going to try and rule the world. No, it's going to be bad. Don't get me wrong. We shouldn't cheer on the Chinese or welcome them or even have any innocent misconceptions about what they're about. But I don't think the Chinese, unlike us, they don't want to come here and introduce us to drag. They don't want to come here and confuse our children about their sexuality. They don't want to come in here and establish Pride Month. They don't want to do that. They just want to dominate the world economy. They want to run us out of Asia. They want to dominate the world economy, and they're well on their way to doing the honest way. The honest way. China's an honest dealer. It's going out there. We're going to outcompete these motherfuckers. You know? They're going to have fights on Twitter about drag queens with wearing horns, right? And we're going to take our billion energetic, hardworking drones and fucking rule the world. Maybe I'm wrong, but there's a big push. It's already there. Rand Corporation has just come out with a study that is basically telling Rand Corporation is the uber mainstream, that's the elite's mouthpiece. They say of the media, oh, that's just the elite's mouthpiece. It's not entirely true because they're not really trusted by the elite. They're more manipulated by the elite. The elite's mouthpiece are the think tanks because those are the think tanks that are run by them and is speaking to them. Now, they're never going to be that honest. Like this Rand report, but this latest Rand report is saying that there's just no more benefit for the U.S. to draw from this proxy war in Ukraine, and it's making it that much harder for us to go to war with China because people want to go to war with China in about 2 years is the plan. And they'll be dishonest because the dishonesty, I think, comes just in the premises, right? They'll say, oh, yeah, they'll pretend, along with your government, that the whole point of it is to free Ukraine. And the whole point of it is to maintain a quote-unquote rules-based order. The whole point of it is to promote democracy worldwide, which is an idiotic idea. It's a fucking stupid idea. Why would anybody want it? But, yeah. So it's war with China. That's in the cards. And what's really scary is not only they're weakening us with this Ukraine shit, weakening our economy further, improving China's hand the whole time, driving China and Russia together, which is the only thing we should have been thinking about foreign policy-wise all century was, let's keep China separate from Russia. There's massive China. There's massive Russia. There's China with all the fucking human talent, right? And industry just bursting. And there's Russia with all the fucking, precious metals and shit they need. Oil, cheap energy that they need. And we're going to drive them together. I know these people aren't stupid. I mean, they're crazy, but they're not stupid. I mean, is the idea to drive them together and then we'll fight them both at once? I don't think so. I think, and this isn't me making this up, obviously somebody else has written it, it's one or two people. But I think the idea with Ukraine was that we were going to break up Russia. We were going to get Putin out of there. And once we've gotten rid of Putin, we get a neoliberal friendly, how the fuck they think they're going to pull this off in Russia? Forget it. I guess they are idiots. But then we're going to break up Russia first as a precursor to our hostilities with China. And I don't have an answer for China. I mean, it's not going to be a good thing. When I say, oh, China doesn't want to rule the world the way we have. Yeah, but just China dominating the world economy, especially with our situation now, us in debt out our ass, is going to be disastrous for us as we're going to get so much poorer. And things can go... See how shit's falling apart now? Well, we're still rich. We're still on top, so to speak. And things are fucking falling apart faster than you can imagine when that hits the genuine economic depression and the hopelessness of the realization that the world economy is now Chinese and we're just, not only do things get bad, they're just getting badder all the time. Worse all the time. When we get there, that triggers all this other crazy shit. Separatist movements, civil war, violent civil war, all that kind of shit. That's why I don't want it, but all right. You're right, Exy. Everything's fake. Nothing's real. This broadcast has been fake. This is not a real broadcast. Because you guys aren't showing up. And you got nothing to say. So we'll play some music. And we'll go home. Give me an outbound. There's an outbound. Whoa. Come on. click finger's not working. All right. Thanks, guys.